Night of September 4th, 1944. Near WWII, Belgium. Darkness swallows the battlefield. Machine gun tracers rip across the fields as German voices grow louder with every step. An American machine gun position has already been overrun. Its crew is believed to be dead. Private First Class Gino Merli lies motionless beside his fallen assistant gunner, his uniform soaked in blood, his face pressed into the dirt. He doesn't breathe. He doesn't blink. German soldiers surround the foxhole. A bayonet drives into his body. Then another. Agony tears through him, but he refuses to move. Every instinct tells him to fight. Instead, he becomes a corpse. Convinced the American machine gunner is dead, the Germans leave the position behind and continue their advance after the retreating U.S. troops. For a moment, the battlefield falls silent. Then the silence explodes. Merli springs back to life, grabs his machine gun, and unleashes a devastating burst of fire. German soldiers collapse before they can understand what is happening. The man they believe they had killed is firing again. Panic spreads through the darkness as the impossible unfolds. The enemy returns. Once again, Merli slumps beside the dead body of his assistant gunner and pretends to be lifeless. German soldiers search the position. Bayonets stab into his body to make certain no one survives. He endures the unbearable pain without making a sound. Satisfied, they move on. Seconds later, the dead American rises once more and opens fire into their backs. The cycle repeats through the night. Each attack, leaving more German soldiers on ground and more confusion spreading through their ranks. Hour after hour, one wounded machine gunner forces an entire German assault to believe they are fighting a ghost. Every time they capture the foxhole, he dies. Every time they walk away, he comes back to life. The battlefield becomes a nightmare the enemy cannot explain. By dawn, the ground around the position is littered with bodies. 52 German soldiers lie dead, 19 of them directly in front of Merli's machine gun. American troops arrive expecting to recover another fallen crew. Instead, they find one exhausted soldier still gripping his weapon, waiting for the next attack. It sounds like something from a Hollywood war film. Yet every major moment of this incredible stand is recorded in Gino Merli's Medal of Honor citation. How does one wounded soldier survive repeated bayonet attacks, fool an entire German force, and hold a battlefield alone until morning? It seems impossible. But impossible is exactly what happened on that September night in Belgium. To understand how one ordinary American soldier accomplishes one of the most astonishing last stands of the Second World War, we have to go back to the beginning. Before that unforgettable night in Belgium, Gino Merli is an ordinary young man from Scranton, Pennsylvania. The son of a coal miner, he enters the U.S. Army in 1943 and is assigned to the legendary 18th Infantry Regiment of the 1st Infantry Division, better known as the Big Red One. He lands on Omaha Beach after D-Day and fights across France as the Allies push toward Germany. Every mile is paid for with blood. By early September 1944, many American commanders believed the war might end before Christmas. German forces appear to be retreating everywhere, but appearances are deceiving. Near the Belgian village of WWII, Merli's company suddenly faces a powerful German counterattack. Under the cover of darkness, enemy infantry crashes into American positions. Machine guns hammer the defenses. Grenades explode in the trenches. Rifle fire tears through the night. The American line begins to buckle under the pressure as German soldiers push forward from multiple directions. The order to withdraw is finally given. Most soldiers begin pulling back to safer positions. Merli refuses. As a machine gunner, he knows someone must stay behind to protect the retreating Americans. Together with his assistant gunner, he continues firing into the advancing Germans while the rest of the company escapes. Every burst from the machine gun buys precious seconds for his comrades, but the decision comes at a terrible cost. It leaves him trapped behind enemy lines. German soldiers soon surround the position from every direction. The fight becomes desperate. Merli's assistant gunner is killed beside him. Other members of the section are captured. The enemy closes in from all sides until there is nowhere left to run. Alone in the darkness, wounded and outnumbered, Merli faces a situation that almost no soldier survives. Yet instead of making one final stand, he comes up with something almost unbelievable. He slumps beside the body of his fallen comrade and pretends to be dead. German soldiers enter the foxhole and probe the bodies with bayonets to make certain no one is alive. The blades cut into Merli's flesh, but he refuses to move. He doesn't cry out. He doesn't react. Convinced that everyone is dead, the Germans move forward and leave the position behind. The moment they disappear into the darkness, Merli grabs his machine gun and unleashes another burst of fire into their backs. Confusion erupts across the battlefield. The attackers believe they somehow missed an American survivor. More German troops rush toward the foxhole. Again, they overwhelm the position. Again, Merli lies perfectly still among the dead. Again, the bayonets come down. Again, the Germans leave. And again, he rises to fire. The deadly cycle repeats throughout the entire night. Every assault costs the Germans more men, and no one can understand why the supposedly captured machine gun position keeps coming back to life. As dawn breaks on September 5th, American forces launch a counterattack. German resistance begins to collapse. The battlefield is filled with confusion, casualties, and exhaustion. When American soldiers finally reach the battered machine gun position, they expect silence. Instead, they find Gino Merli still at his weapon. Around him lie 52 German dead. Through sheer determination and unimaginable courage, he has delayed the enemy long enough for American forces to regroup and regain the battlefield. For his actions that night, Gino Merli is later awarded the Medal of Honor, the highest military decoration of the United States. When the battle is finally over, Gino Merli does not celebrate. He does not boast about the 52 enemy soldiers lie around his position, and he never calls himself a hero. Covered in blood, much of it belonging to his fallen assistant gunner, his first request surprises everyone around him. Instead of asking for rest or medical attention, he quietly asks to be taken to a nearby church. Inside the small village church, Merli kneels in silence. He prays for his fellow American soldiers who never return home. Then he prays for the German soldiers whose lives ended in front of his machine gun. That single moment reveals the man behind the Medal of Honor. He understands that every victory in war carries a terrible human cost, and that every soldier, regardless of the uniform he wears, is someone's son. On June 15, 1945, at the White House, President Harry S. Truman presents Gino Merli with a Medal of Honor for his extraordinary courage near Sars-la-Bruyere, Belgium. His actions become one of the most remarkable examples of determination ever recorded during the Second World War. Yet Merli never allows the medal to define who he is. After the war, Merli returns home, finishes high school, builds a quiet life, and spends decades serving fellow veterans through the Veterans Administration. He rarely speaks about that unforgettable night in Belgium, perhaps because he understands something history books often forget. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is a willingness to endure pain, loneliness, and impossible odds because others are depending on you. On one September night in 1944, a wounded American soldier allows himself to be bayoneted again and again without moving, not because he wants to survive, but because he wants his comrades to survive. Eventually, the battlefield falls silent. The machine gun stops firing, but the story of the man who fooled death and an entire German assault continues to echo through history. Some victories are measured by the ground that is captured. Others are measured by the courage of one man who simply refuses to stay dead.